Welcome back to the Tomahawk. I'm Mike. I've got Matt with me on the podcast today, and we're going to talk about the last game of the Hawks and where we think they need to improve going into next season. Hawks won their weekend game and lost the last game of the season. It was a heartbreaker in overtime. They had a 4-minute power play going into overtime, and they couldn't close the door, which was kind of actually reminiscent in a tale of their season of having their defensive woes. So some bright spots from the game. Once again, Vinny Hinostroza looked very well. I think he played very well. He seems to play really good with Hagel. I hope to see them paired up again next season. But the most glaring thing that we have are our defensive numbers. The Hawks allowed 49 shots on goal today. Colin Delia in net stopped. What did he stop? 44 of them. I'm not sure, what more you can ask from a guy who hasn't really had the opportunity to play much at the professional level all season. And to be honest, I thought he played okay. Nothing where I think this is the guy that we need going forward as a backup, but I think that he looked a little better than Malcolm Subban, but that's not really saying much. I really like some of the defensive players that we have, but I think that we have a system problem in Chicago, a defensive system problem, and it really needs to get fixed because what would you say, Matt? Maybe like the past 2 months, the Hawks have it seems like they've just they're like letting every shot through onto the goalie. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while, and it's just getting old. I mean, like I said to you earlier, I mean, it took Pat Foley the whole season to admit the Hawks have a pretty bad defense. And, I mean, they're not changing anything. Usually a coach will, want them to tighten up, and they haven't, and they're relying on our goalies to make a lot of saves every game, and we don't have an elite guy like Henrik Lundqvist that can do that.
Like a guy who could stand on his head.
Yeah, Henrik Lundqvist used to do it all the time, and I mean the Rangers knew he could do it. That's why they'd play this the way they did. And he could steal games, and I mean, there's a couple goalies that can pretty much win you a game. You got Tuukka Rask, who maybe not this season, but in the past he could win a game, and Carey Price, he's been hurt, but we don't have those big name goaltenders that can do it for us.
Do you think that going into the offseason, do you think that the Hawks should spend money on a goalie, considering we're going to have some cap space with Siebes and Andrew Shaw's contracts?
Yeah, I mean, I would sign a guy like even Antti Ranta, who knows how to start games and play a lot of minutes, and you'd actually take a load off Lankinen if he's going to be the future number one guy. But I don't, like Jake said in the last podcast, he's not really sold on him. I 100% agree with that because, we have a small sample sizing. Like he said, we don't know how he's going to play against St. Louis or Minnesota. And it's good to have a guy who's got, a lot of games played. I mean, if they want to go and spend more money, like on a Tuukka Rask, I don't know if he's going to resign in Boston. But, I mean, the Hawks are going to have space. Maybe they can give him a one-year deal like they did with, Robin Leonard last year. It's worth a shot. But I don't know Bowman's plans. I honestly don't. I think that Bowman has something in his head. He's just going to do it. And unfortunately, he doesn't get punished for his mistakes because he's the boss.
Yeah. Personally, I think that the Hawks need to invest on the blue line for a couple more veterans to help with some of the younger defensive players, and at the same time add money to to one goalie. Not to mention having a center that can win faceoffs. I mean, we can't send David Kampf out there every time that we need to win a faceoff. unless Jonathan Taves is playing. But if we can add one center who can be consistent at winning faceoffs, I think that can make the world of difference for the team, especially starting off in an offensive zone and having defensive zone possessions as well.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. I hope to God that we get Taves back, because there was one point in his career he was winning over 75% of his draws. That's just how good he is. And if you want to play a puck possession style, like, I feel like that's what the Hawks kind of want to do. It's like a copycat league, and winning faceoffs is the first key to being a good puck possession team.
Do you think that the Hawks defensively would you say that the players are okay, that there's a problem with their system and that's translating to so many shots? Or do you think it's, the system all around?
I think it's the guys. I mean, they're younger. They're gonna make mistakes, and they're learning. It is the system too. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to do. I think they have offense on their mind before playing in their own zone. That's a lot of teams are like this now. It's like I said, it's a copycat league, and I just don't. We don't have the personnel to do what Colleton wants. I mean, if I would absolutely invest in a defenseman that can play like Seth Jones. I know he's not a free agent. I would love to have that guy on our lineup. He would be an awesome fit here. But there's not that many guys available this summer. I think the biggest defensive name is that David Savard. Maybe you got what's his name, Dougie Hamilton. I think he's in
Really?
Carolina. But is it Dougie Hamilton? I could be wrong, but he's more of an offensive guy. He puts up a lot of assists and points, and I want a guy who is solid in his own zone first.
I was looking just for, shits and giggles. There was one clip of Erik Karlsson on Twitter, and he was undressing Phil Kessel on the blue line, and then he lost the puck. And it was meant to show how great he is. And
he's a great winger.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's a winger playing a defensive position. That's all that he is. Have you ever looked at his numbers, man? His career numbers, he's a -61.
I believe that.
That's unbelievable.
When Pavelski scored tonight, the first thing that I thought of, why would the Sharks get rid of this guy for Erik Karlsson?
25 goals.
I don't understand why they would do that. Every time I see the guy, I'm like, he should have been a Shark for life.
I wish the Hawks could have got him.
Yeah, you know what? I think him and Kane would actually play good together. I think they actually, you know what? That Olympic, they might have played together with Kessler, right? Wasn't Kessler their center?
Yeah, he was.
That's a sick line.
Actually, Kaner played really well with Kessler.
You know what? There was rumors when he was on the block in Vancouver that they were trying to get him over here. And can you imagine that? Taves and Kessler as your 1-2 centers with Bolin as your shutdown?
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
And it's funny because, Kessler and Taves were practically the exact type of player, except that Kessler was a one-time 40-goal scorer.
Yeah, well, Kessler has got a little bit of an edge to him.
Yeah, he does.
He could be a hitter. He'll fight you. I think Taves was more of just just a smart guy and didn't take stupid penalties and get into that type of style unless he absolutely had to, which he only did against Kessler.
And he fought Joe Thornton, I think, twice.
Yeah, that bum. Yeah.
And you know what, man? I give him a lot of credit because Thornton's a pretty tough guy. I mean, he's not necessarily somebody that you'd want to fight.
Well, yeah, I guess you could call it a fight. I thought it was more of a sucker punch that started Taves' concussion issues. I think he's had two of them, and I think one of them was from Thornton
Really?
and the other from Willie Mitchell with a blindside hit, which, I mean, it was a blindside hit, but Taves did have the puck.
Right.
But Thornton was more of a sucker. So I'm not a big fan of him. I mean, I know Justin's got to be excited that, he's on his Leafs, but I think he's been a playoff ghost his whole career, and that's why he hasn't won anything.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But moving forward, Dylan Strome scored a goal tonight, and
Oh
just
God.
when you're ready to write the guy off, he scores a goal, and you wonder if this is one of those things where the management is thinking like, oh, he scored again, maybe trying to validate that contract and that purchase. Do you think that maybe Strome will be taken by the Kraken? Or do you think that he's going to be on the team next year?
Well, we can hope that he gets taken. I think it actually helped us. If anything, he's how many goals did he have this season? Like 14 or something.
Let me check, but go on ahead while I check.
Well, I mean, it helped him if the Kraken need a center, or maybe what would you consider him? I don't consider him a top six. I think he'd be maybe like a seventh or eighth forward. Honestly, I just don't. I didn't see the hype. I think he benefited from Taves being hurt, and 8 goals. Wow, I gave him way too much credit.
If he scored 14 goals, you could actually make a case for him
bad.
even making the team next year.
You know what? I was thinking of Kubalik. I think Kubalik was closer
17.
to that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think he benefited from Doc being hurt and Taves being hurt, and Bowman panicked and had no choice. He had to get a center anyway, with a little experience, because we didn't know what Suter was going to be like, and it actually it helped for a little bit. I thought Strome showed some shades of like, oh, wow, man, maybe he is going to be okay, and I think he got hurt. And then he came back. He even looked good, but then he just disappeared again. So I mean, we can hope that he gets chosen by the Kraken. If not, it's going to be DeHaan, and what's that? Another $4 million in cap space to us,
Right.
Yeah, so that could be a positive on that.
I think Suter and Kurashev are somewhat on the, I don't want to say bubble, but development wise, you're just not sure what you have, because I think Suter needs more time and Kurashev needs more of an opportunity, playing some more, I don't want to say top line minutes, but more mid to maybe second line minutes, because I think he's got a pretty good shot. He's responsible defensively, and and I think he plays pretty well, man. But where do you see, what did you see out of him in this last game?
Kurashev, I noticed when he gets like bumped or hit, he loses the puck pretty easy. Yeah. I thought at the beginning of the season, he was a great forechecker. He was always on the boards and winning puck battles, and I didn't really notice it that much the second half of the season.
Yeah,
I just noticed the emergence of Brandon Hagel. I thought he was kind of getting it together with his speed. His feet were keeping up with his hands and scoring some big OT goals. And I'm excited for his future out of anybody.
Yeah, I am too. I think that he's definitely been probably the diamond in the rough, so to speak, from the young players that we've.
Suter, you could say that too.
Suter played very well. He had, I think, 14 goals. He had 14 goals on the season this year.
Yeah.
I was probably looking more closely at the defensemen, and I think that Riley Stillman it'll be good to see him develop for next year. Wyatt Kalynuk, I think, was a bright spot. Seeing that we have other guys other than the more publicized players that have been, like Adam Boquist, Ian Mitchell, Nicholas Bowden, and Riley Stillman, I think will have a chance to definitely play next year. I want to see him play. Obviously, I just talked about Wyatt Kalynuk, and Adam Gaudette came to mind. I liked, he seems like he's got some grit to his game, and he gives a lot of effort when he plays. So I definitely want to see more of him next year. And as far as the goalie situation, man, I just don't know where to go with it.
Yeah.
Lankinen needs a teammate, and Subban, and I'm sorry to say, from what I've seen from Delia, is more of the same in every single game, and from what I've seen from last year. And I'm not sure if he'll be able to put it together or if he needs more time. But he also seems to be how tall is he, man? He doesn't seem to be a big guy.
I'm not sure, quite honestly. But I agree with you. I think that it's time to move on from those two. It didn't work out, and I think we should really invest in a free agent goalie or trade anything because we need an experienced backup. I think that should be the number one thing we need, except health. We need health, but
Yeah.
that's what I would be hunting for first.
So in closing, the Hawks had a lot of promise. They put up a fight. They weren't able to make it in the end. And to be honest with you, all you can ask is for a team that fights and plays with pride. And to be honest with you, they did. Their power play, was practically non-existent at the very last end of the season. It being, top three in the league for most of the league year. But there were some very bright shining spots. Alex DeBrincat and his two-way game. I think that he's been playing a very, very good two-way game. And the same thing with Patrick Kane and him playing very, very well. But closing out the season, I'm interested to see where this team goes next year. There are some bright spots, and they have a bright future ahead of them development wise. But I'm very excited to see where they go, and it's going to be an exciting summer. Moving on to some NHL news. It looks like the Montreal Canadiens have clinched their playoff berth, even though they lost to the Oilers. Did you see anything on that?
I saw that they clinched, and it looks like the Leafs will be facing the Habs, which will be great for Canada.
Looks like McDavid, I think, ends the season with 101 or 102 points.
Did he get two more tonight?
Let
I'm
me
not sure.
check.
I'm sure he did. I mean, he can put his skates on and he gets a point. It seems like.
Let's see. Point.
Yeah,
leaders.
I watched that game Saturday where he did get the 100. He got 4 points that game. He had a goal, his first shot of the game,
Holy smoke.
3 assists, and just he controlled the whole game. It's amazing.
Oh, Patrick Kane finished the season second in assists. And
Yeah.
it looks like DeBrincat came in third with, I believe, 32 goals.
Which is impressive for him. He great bounce back year, and I think Kaner finally found his trigger man, which is something that we've been looking for since
Yeah.
Panarin left.
Yeah, let's go ahead and say that DeBrincat's going to stay on the line with Kaner. Once again, they need a center. Who's it going to be? And
Yeah, we got unless we find somebody or we just keep throwing guys in there that fit, I guess. But I mean, I would like to see an experienced guy.
Doc.
I mean, I guess you could go Doc, or I mean, if Taves comes back, why not?
Yeah, because
Why
Doc,
not?
man, I think he's a great passer.
Yeah, he's got good hands. He's got good vision, and that's what those types of guys need. And he could probably create some space for the Brinket, and Kaner can create space. He could create space in a phone booth. That's how good he is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, let's see, get him the puck. The Brinket wants to shoot, and we don't have a lot of guys that want to shoot. I mean, I top of my head, I think Kubalik's another one of those guys who wants to shoot. I actually like a Kubalik, Hagel, and Hinostroza setup.
Yeah,
I
I was
get
actually
some
just going to say
speed.
that.
I like that.
It's really interesting because here's a scenario for you. Even though we're supposed to move on from the Hawks, if Taves comes back, does Hinostroza move up to a top line pairing with him and Brandon Hagel?
Yeah, that could work out. But what do you do with Kubalik then?
You know what? I was thinking, I as a third pairing, I was thinking Hinostroza, Brandon Hagel, and maybe Kurashev, and then a top line pairing of Taves,
Hagel.
Kubalik, and to be honest with you, whoever.
You don't know. Yeah, you gotta find a guy. Maybe they'll sign a guy this summer, and I mean there are some guys available that we got that Mike Hoffman's a big name out there.
Is he going to be available again?
I think he only signed a 1-year deal with St. Louis, so he will be available. I mean, you got Taylor Hall, but I mean, I wouldn't invest any money in him.
I'd rather if I can get Mike Hoffman for $5.5 million, I see why not.
Well, yeah, he's another one of those guys that likes to shoot.
He's solid.
He will shoot, and he puts up good points. I think he actually has more points than Taylor Hall, and they both started around the same time. And I was real surprised to see Hoffman sign with St. Louis so cheap, knowing that Taylor Hall went to Buffalo for $8 million. That's a player I would have compared numbers to. I'd be like, hey man, look at my numbers compared to him.
Yeah, maybe he should hire. Who's the center for the Blues? Forgot his name, man.
Played for Colorado. Ryan O'Reilly.
Yeah, he should get his agent.
That guy. You know what though? That guy's a freaking he's an NHL player. Like he is just. You look at him and they're like, oh, that guy's a hockey player. He's plays great in his own end, and I was really surprised they gave him the captain. Yeah, I mean, but I guess they love him there. They're obsessed with him over there.
Really?
I mean, I'm surprised they didn't give it to a guy that's pretty much been in the system. What's that guy?
Tarasenko?
Not Senko, the defenseman. Big guy. I don't know. I'm losing. And I really liked him. It's gonna come up to me, but he's a defenseman. I think he's been with them his whole career, and that's why they probably felt comfortable letting Pietrangelo go. I'll get it. It's gonna take me a while, but I'll get it. But anyway, moving on.
No, go on ahead. What you were gonna say, man? I mean, I like Mike Hoffman. I think that he's got pretty decent speed. He's got vision. He's good defensively, and he can score goals. Most importantly, and actually, he likes to score goals at the United Center as well.
Well, St. Louis did sign what's his name, Krug this year from Boston.
Torrey Krug.
Torrey Krug. That's not him. It's the other guy. Hold on. It's bugging the shit out of me. Colton Parenko.
Oh wow,
Parenko. I thought he would have got it, just because he's he's real good off the ice with fans. He's that they had that girl who was pretty much she was going through cancer, and they were rallying behind her that year. They won the cup, and that guy was so good to her, and he gained a lot of my respect because we gotta hate the Blues because it's St. Louis. But I respected that, and you know what? He's a solid player. He was a solid defenseman, moving on.
The Blues.
And they made it, and they're facing off against Vegas, and that's going to be a great series, man. That's going to be rock'em sock'em robots. I think it's going to be nasty after the whistles, and Binnington, he's got an edge to him. Yeah. I know he doesn't take any stuff, any snow showers or scrums in front of him. He's going to get involved too, and he was really good that season. They won the cup too against Boston. He was getting in their heads and skating by the bench and mocking some of the guys on the Bruins, and he was backing it up with his play though. So that's going to be a great series.
It looks like the Panthers shut out Tampa Bay. I'm telling you, man, I think Tampa Bay might be out in the first round.
I don't know. I mean, I'd hate to play against Coach Q just because he's a legend. But I think when Tampa gets their boys back, they're going to get their MVP and their captain. They're going to be a different team too. So I don't know yet.
Kurashev hasn't played all year, and Stamkos is just waiting for. Stamkos is just waiting for Wait, who did I say?
Kucherov.
Jeez. Kucherov, yeah.
Yeah.
Nikita Kucherov.
MVP.
He hasn't played all season, and Stamkos is begging for another injury. And it's almost like
Right.
it's just waiting to happen.
I
The
know,
guys,
he's
he
fragile.
reminds me a lot of Pavel Bure. Could score goals like nobody's business, but just could not stay healthy.
He's got a very, very underrated shot. Him and Ovechkin, man, they can fire it.
Accurate.
And same with Panarin and the Bread Man. We know that firsthand. He was just those guys with their one-timers, man. They are just great.
Wow. So, yeah, just a couple things to talk about there. The playoffs are shaping up. We're going to do another. We have an interview with Dave Hansen coming up that we're going to be releasing next Monday.
Very excited about that.
Oh, I know you are. I know you are.
Yeah,
He's our next podcast is going to be a playoff preview podcast. I know this is primarily a Blackhawks podcast, but we're going to keep it going into the playoffs. So we're going to turn it into kind of a playoff show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got more interviews coming down the line, and it's really starting to shape up from what this started a couple months ago. We really appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to us. Thank you. We love doing this, and more importantly, we want to be something that everybody can listen to. Obviously, the podcast is free, but we want to give our honest opinions. We're not employed by the team, so we could say things that Steve Conroy's not going to say on air. Because it's important to have transparency and honesty.
It took Foley all year to speak the truth.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they said something to him about the little comment that he said about blowing his brains out. And you know what? There's a lot of truth to what he said from what the players went through, just staying in the hotel, or they have to be at the rink. And he spoke his opinion. And someone came and told him, and to be honest with you, I don't think it's that big of a deal of what he said, and but of course politics kind of come and play into it. They don't want people to be up in arms about what they're talking about, and I think that he didn't really say anything wrong, and it wasn't really that big of a deal.
Yep.
But
don't apologize if you didn't say anything wrong.
Yeah. But anyways, that's what we got going forward. Hey, Matt, who do you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, I want to give a shout out to one of our loyal listeners. He's always given us positive messages. Hey guys, great show. Piercy from Canada. I'm not sure where you're from there, bud, but he also wanted me to give a shout out to his pup, Coach Q. So he sent some pictures. He's a pretty cool dog. He's got a cool Hawks bandana. And I'd like to give a shout out to my cousin in Boston. Remember 17 Seconds, Greg? I do. And we got, it's been fun doing this. I've had a great time. And I look forward to this, every week, and just talking hockey, laying back and just relaxing, taking your mind off, the stresses of the world, and it's been fun. So let's keep it going. We could talk some playoffs and get involved with us and have some comments with us. Anything. It's been great.
Yeah, shoot us up, hit us up on Twitter. We love talking. Get us up in the comments on YouTube. We monitor it, so we'll answer back. And even if you don't agree with what we say, you get on there and just tell us to go fuck off or something, because that's always fun too. Come and chirp us.
We won't cry.
Yeah, we got no problem with it.
We're not going to cancel you. Don't worry.
It's all fun. It's all fun. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. Hit us in the comments. We love you guys. And this is the Tomahawk, and we're out.